Alright guys, hello, welcome back to the Dugout. As always, Aditi joining us in the studio. Thank you so much for your presence, Aditi.
Thank you for having me.
Rahul Bhai is here, Shane's here, and yes, the wounds are still fresh, but as they say in life, you move forward, you forget about the past, you plan forward.
Will we let them forget?
We won't try to remind you, you guys take care of yourselves. I know the wounds
public memory is very short. When you say wounds are fresh, it was only a couple of years ago when we lost the T20 World Cup. That was in 2021. The same year we lost the WTC final also.
True.
Then the following year we lost the T20 World Cup again.
The Asia Cup as well.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the ICC tournaments. Yeah, so Asia Cup also you can include because we didn't even make it to the final there.
Yeah.
So wounds, I don't know whether when you say that wounds are still fresh, 2 years is not a long time, and in a matter of say 21, 22, 23. So in a matter of say about 3 years, you've lost 4 ICC tournaments.
But Rahul, I've noticed that you always talk about, what went wrong. I appreciate it if we focus on the bright side. What is to look forward to? What is the bright side of things?
If you carry on in the same manner, I'm sorry to say,
No, something good to say. I want
Things
to
will
hear it
only
from your
get
mouth.
worse from here. Because see, what do you have in the bench? If you see the domestic cricket, what has happened in the domestic? You tell me. You've seen the Test match. What happened there? Your defensive approach. I think more than the skills, it's the mindset.
See, everybody
Because
is
of
talking
which-
about this, that how we lost and how, underprepared we were.
That is
and-
how you learn. No? You have to learn from your mistakes.
Indeed.
Have you been
So-
learning from your mistakes? No. So two wrongs. For example, in 2021-22, you took Ashwin for the 2 T20 World Cups.
Right.
And because of that, somebody like Yuzi Chahal, who was in red hot form, because 21 you played in UAE, that T20 World Cup, and the IPL also was played, the second half of that IPL was also played in the UAE that year, and in the second phase Yuzi Chahal had done remarkably well. You didn't pick him in the squad. Then next year you picked him in the squad, but he didn't get a single game because you played Ashwin. So that was a wrong call at that time. Now to correct that mistake, you didn't pick Ashwin here. Obviously, that was
Alright,
not.
so these are the facts that we know, but what could have been the reasons? Why wasn't UZ picked? Or why wasn't Ravichandran Ashwin there?
That's for the selectors and captain and the team management to answer that decision, because it was their call. They wanted Ravichandran Ashwin.
Isn't performance always the focus?
Should be.
When you're picking up the players.
Should be.
Then
but
what?
is it really the performance? Now, see, Ajinkya Rahane, hats off to that guy. He played domestic cricket, got over 600 runs this season.
Yeah.
Then played the IPL and got runs there also. Was part of that winning team of the IPL this year. And then he made a comeback, and perhaps maybe it is because of those 89 runs that he got and that partnership that he stitched with Shardul Thakur, that the match actually went on till the 5th day.
Fifth day,
First session. Maybe you never know, this match could have been over by the 4th day itself.
True.
Right.
So, but now when you have gone back to Ajinkya Rahane, it also tells you that what do you have on the bench? What is your feeder system at the moment? And what are the possible replacements? Now today, sitting here, I can always say that Pujara, and you will come across these kind of stories that Pujara, maybe it's time to take a call, Ajinkya Rahane, all these names. But you tell me, who do you replace him with? You have a Yashasvi Jaiswal, you've picked him in the squad or amongst the reserves, but where do you play him? You play him out of position, as in, do you want to play him at number 3, or would you want Shubman Gill to bat at number 3? Now look at these players: Rohit Sharma, Cheteshwar Pujara, Virat Kohli, Ajinkya Rahane, and I'll also include Ravichandran Ashwin in that bracket. They are all in their mid 30s. Ashwin is 36, Rohit Sharma is 35, Virat is 34. Then one more name Pujara and Rahane, they are also in their mid 30s. Now the next WTC cycle, which is 2 years away, Ashwin would be 38, if not 39 at that time, if you are playing the final. Okay, then Rohit Sharma would be 37, Pujara would also be in his late 30s. So do you really think that these players will survive by then? So I am saying that you need to prepare well. There will be chances, there will be times when you will fail, when your batters will fail, when your bowlers will fail. But not too long ago, I think just a few years ago, I think 4 years ago, we all were saying, we've got such a good backup plan as far as our fast bowlers are concerned. Where are those fast bowlers now?
Now your bench strength seems minimal, if not non-existent.
So I'm saying, see, you have to learn from your mistakes. You have to see what went wrong. Then only you can talk about the brighter side, as you said, and very right. Obviously you can't pump in so much of negativity that the players can just listen to, or wherever they are looking at, they can only listen and see negativity, that they have lost the test match, such an important test match, such defensive approach. But the fact is that in 21 also it was that mindset, it was that soch that you were done in by, and then 22 also, WTC also, then again. So you got to, and now you have a World Cup in 4 months time.
Right.
Do you really think that we would be the favorites?
I think the momentum was not set right from the very beginning itself.
Yeah.
The way, we were very excited to watch it. We were all sitting here, and then we noticed that, I think I was sitting here with you in AajTak when we constantly said that what is Umesh Yadav doing, and if we had gained some quick wickets, then it would have probably set the momentum right. And then, from there on, other players could have picked it up. Then batters picked it up. But, from the very beginning, it was so slow that I think there was no excitement to the game.
True. No, there was. See, as whenever Indian team will play, you will have excitement. Whatever the experts or anybody may think, even on the 5th day, and 4th day when Australia had declared, you were set a target of 444, which is something unprecedented, and people still thought that something will happen, and we all knew here that it's very, very, very difficult. You had your back. It's very difficult to chase down.
In many ways, still. We knew it was not, so the head was always saying it's not going to happen.
I think the reason behind that, people being so hopeful, because during IPL, we all noticed towards the end how games turned around, most of them. And it brought in so much excitement and, passion that, we were hopeful this time as well.
And even then, even though you'd lost 3 wickets on day 4, you were still why you had that hope? Yes, of course, like you said, the IPL and the experience and the game time that they had. Alright, so that, but again, you have some sort of faith. If you finish second in the World Test Championship right towards the end, there is a lot of credit that goes to the team.
Guys, you have to admit that Indian team was lucky also. Hats off to them to win that series in Australia.
Yeah.
But then, and 2-1 they were leading in England. They were leading 2-1 before they decided not to play that 5th Test match, and they went again to play that rescheduled test. They drew that series, which they should have won. Anyways, besides that, you lost to South Africa. You got defeated Sri Lanka here in India. Bangladesh, you narrowly won that series. Okay.
True.
New Zealand, you drew one, by the way. One of the 2 matches was a drawn test.
And that could have potentially cost you if one result against Australia didn't go your way.
Australia, when they came here, we won the first two test matches in Nagpur and Delhi quite comfortably. But then you lost Indore, and suddenly what happened?
Panic.
And what did you offer as far as the wicket was
You
concerned?
dished out a road
Yeah.
in Ahmedabad.
So both teams are. See, but Ram, see, there is credit. You knew there were a lot of, matchups, there were a lot of permutation combinations ahead of the BGT, right? And this Indian team needed a certain, let's say, score line if they were to make it to the final of the World Test Championship. So credit to them in terms of doing what they had to do in that moment.
Yeah.
Let's not take that away.
Yeah, you can, but then year after year, if you're doing the same thing, falling short, and then I think we should be satisfied. We should not criticize anybody if you are happy and satisfied at making it to the final of in a sport where how many teams, if you're playing a T20 World Cup or an ODI World Cup, if you're not making it to the semis, I think then I'm sorry to say, then which world you are living in, because you know the standard of cricket now. You have you've got 5, 6 top teams.
5. Let's not even be generous and say 6. 5.
yeah.
5 teams.
10 teams play an ODI World
You
Cup, out of
include-
which 5 you'd say are top nations.
So, and in amongst those top 5 teams, if you are making it to the semi-finals, that means you
That's
are
the bare
finishing
minimum.
at. What do you expect?
I do agree. So that's like saying, in football, if there were 5, 6 teams and Brazil was one of them, and they don't make it to the final every time, given all the legacy, given everything, it is a failure. It's not a disappointment, it's a failure, which is where we also must admit is where we stand right now. Just being in the top 2, being in the top 4 isn't good enough for us as a cricketing nation. And this is where we really.
But what is the way forward?
That's
Let's
what-
start with Shane. Obviously people are saying heads should roll, things should happen, but what should happen?
See, first off, what you need is a talent pool.
Shiva? Sorry, you can.
You need a talent pool, first off. Again, as you were rightly pointing out, the fact that you had to go back to Rahane, like full credit to Rahane, he did the hard yards. But if a first choicer in Shreyas Iyer is injured, and you're having to go back to the man who you then actually had discarded for Shreyas Iyer,
Yeah.
it tells you that there is a major lack of bench strength. That is one thing for sure. You need bench strength, not just in the bowling, but even the batting for that matter. I don't think the bench strength is that great in batting either. People are saying, as you said, that head should roll, replace Rahane, replace Pujara, replace this, replace that, with who? Where is the batsman?
And how do you assess, what is your bench strength? Ranji Trophy, because of COVID, you've hardly had there was one full season.
Full season.
One full
Otherwise, it's
season.
been very truncated.
Yeah, so you've had one full season. India A tours. Now,
Dried
I
up.
think in the last 3 years, you've just had 3 India A tours. One was Bangladesh,
New
then,
Zealand,
then New Zealand and South Africa.
That's it.
That's it. So, how do you assess whether a player is good or not? Because see, Mohammad Siraj, he's done very well with the red ball in domestic cricket, but he was constantly playing India A red ball cricket, so he got an opportunity. He came through
The feeder system.
that India A. So now you don't. Now there is somebody called Abhimanyu Ishwaran. He's got runs in domestic cricket also. He's got runs in for India
I
A
think
also.
he was the second highest run scorer in the Ranji.
So that's what I'm saying,
Miami.
and he has consistently got runs. And I can understand, you have different yardsticks for different players. So for somebody like Sarfaraz Khan, who's been scoring runs in domestic cricket constantly for a few years now,
Three?
he doesn't get to play for India. Why? Because he doesn't play well. He has whatever opportunities he's got for India A, he hasn't got runs there. So you are saying that no, he can't bat in for India A, so let's not pick him. But then you have a player who has done well for India A also, but you won't pick him. Why? Because a story came out in 2021 when Ravi Shastri apparently didn't like him in the nets. So they asked for a replacement opener.
Oh.
So, and that opener then was Flo. So, I believe Suryakumar Yadav and who was the other guy? Devdutt or Prithvi Shaw flew out from Sri Lanka to England.
England, yeah.
As a backup opener. You already had a backup opener there, but you said no, and then stories started to float around, and all these things happened. So I know there is a Yashasvi Jaiswal, but we haven't seen him, by the way, at the top level. So tomorrow he might also fail. So you have to have patience also. Plus you need to prepare the second line as well. And so why I mentioned right at the start of this conversation, I mentioned about the ages. What if after 2 years suddenly all 4 of them or all 5 of them have to be replaced in one go? Can you imagine what will happen? You tell me, we say that we've produced such great spinners. You have Ashwin here as your off spinner. Tell me who's your who's the next best off spinner in the country?
You can't, because you are only alternating between Jadeja and Ashwin, both of whom.
No, I'm saying forget about Jadeja and Akshar Patel also. You need an off spinner. Give me one name that you will pick.
Like this, given the precedent, I think that's been said. I think you'd go back to Jayant Yadav maybe.
By the way, Jayant Yadav is also not getting any younger. Huh?
That's true. I'm just saying it is surprising. It's a very interesting point though. If you look at the offies present in the system also, we don't have too many.
So the key is to pick right players first.
The key is to first develop
and if
the
there
right
are right players, then because of some reason or the other, you do not make them play important matches.
There is a transition phase, Aditi. So you will not replace everybody in one go.
Right.
On one particular day, you won't remove everybody, and so no. It's a knee-jerk reaction, and I want all 4 of them to go and get new faces, 4 new faces. And there is a transition phase. You have to phase out, and it actually started when New Zealand came to India. So you would remember Cheteshwar Pujara was there. Cheteshwar Pujara, in his place, I think. Hanuma Vihari, who batted at number 3, I can't remember anyways.
May have been
Hanuma Vihari was there.
In place of
now
see,
and it also tells you about your confidence in the team, in the players also. So Shreyas Iyer, New Zealand came to India. Okay, Shreyas Iyer got both the games. One, and he got 100, he got a 50 also. Did very well. So everybody said, we've got the replacement. Exactly what we needed as a replacement for Rahane. Then immediately after that tour, you went to South Africa. South African conditions where the wicket will seam also. They've got bowlers, they've got pace, everything. In South Africa, traditionally, we've always struggled in South Africa. The first game that you play, Shreyas Iyer didn't play that game. Rahane did. Why? Because your team management, your coach didn't have the confidence in Shreyas Iyer that he could actually play in South Africa, and you wanted to have some experienced player in that 11, and that was Ajinkya Rahane.
Dil ki tasalli that we are sending out somebody who's more experienced than
exactly. So the same thing happened here also, WTC final.
This has been consistently happening. I mean, this is what we noticed in WTC also. So it is not about players actually, it is about the selectors then.
No, selectors, but selectors will also pick from the pool that we have. And also, see, I can give you my 15-member squad. At the end of the day, if you are the captain, you will play the 11, no? Right. So I'm saying, see, you tell me what 15, I don't think any player who was part of that 15-member squad that played in this WTC, I would have included, whatever available players, that whoever was available, I made a choice. I picked a 15-member squad. I don't think it would have been any different from the one that actually went to England. But the question is, what 11 would you play? That decision has to be taken by the team management, captain, coach, and other senior people involved in that. So that is why 2022 World Cup, the T20 World Cup, when Ashwin was playing and Yuzi Chahal was warming the bench, and everybody, every team, Adil Rashid, Shadab Khan, Rashid Khan, every team.
Adam Zampa.
England, Adil Rashid, we've already done. Pakistan
Shadab.
also, Shadab also. So every team had a leg spinner and he was playing regularly and was picking wickets. But here you perhaps had one of the best white ball leg spinner and you chose not to
To
play
add
him.
to that, purple cap winner also that year.
So and you chose not to play him in the 11. So these are some strange calls that you've taken. Either you get very complacent or you get too defensive with your mindset. Here, just looking at the conditions. Now, you know, I have the other day when they elected to field first, I wanted to ask, in fact, this was the question. They wanted to play 4 fast bowlers and a spinner. Is that the reason why they batted second or chose to field, or they wanted to bat second? They didn't want to bat in that test match first innings. So that is the reason why they played 4 fast bowlers. So if you ask me, I think they didn't want to bat first under those
clouds. Yeah.
Overcast conditions.
And by the way, those conditions stayed only and only for 1 hour. 1 hour.
Just the first 45 minutes or an hour.
1
that's
hour.
it.
Rest of the 5 days, it was so hot in England. Last, I think, 5th day, though, it was 32.
Rather, I remember, Rahul, by the time we wrapped up the show, so I'm just saying it would probably have been just around 3:30 in England. So that would have been effectively the end of second session, I believe, when it started to there were some droplets out there when on that day 5 I'm saying. Otherwise we saw what we saw, it was all clear skies all along. After that first hour on day 1, it was clear skies.
So clearly your batsmen, they didn't have the confidence to bat under. So, you know, there are so many instances, especially on foreign soil, if you see, more often than not, when we've batted first, got runs, that is when you have managed to win over some very difficult test matches abroad. You would remember Headingley, 2002.
Yes, that was when Ganguly had won the toss.
Ganguly,
overcast green.
Tendulkar, everybody got 100 and they scored, I think, 689 or 630 odd runs. India scored and they won by an innings.
And they were batting first.
They batted
chose
first.
to bat first.
They batted first. So
well documented that.
So you know, these are so you have to have that confidence. Unfortunately, you know, Rahul Dravid yesterday, I think to an extent he was right also, but then who's to be blamed for that? Rahul Dravid, because I have seen it, because every time you are playing in India 4 test matches against Australia, Rahul Dravid would land in the city where the test match has to be played and would straight away go to the stadium just to have a look at the wicket, and would then you know, instruct or ask the curator to prepare a wicket, the kind of wicket that he wants, and just to have a look at the wicket. So and he's right also, you know, because we've been playing, our batters have been playing regularly on these Indian wickets, which are not you know, where your confidence can actually be killed, because you don't get runs here. Because the wickets are such that test matches are getting over in, say, about 2-3 days.
Yeah.
So batsmen have not been able to score runs, and their confidence, because they don't have runs under their belt, so it also affects their confidence. And suddenly, you know, we travelled to England for that World Test Championship final, and you say that no, yeah, let them bat first. And if you ask me, I think I know Paras Mabre, the first day he was asked if Umesh Yadav was fit. I don't think Umesh Yadav was fit.
Because
the way he was running
exactly, I wasn't. His run up didn't feel you know, natural at all.
It was stop start, very short, and then he's struggling to bowl.
But I think the process will have to start from this West Indies series also. That some of the players you may have to see a few fresh faces. And maybe
well, I'd go back to the point that you mentioned earlier in the conversation. Very interesting in the sense, because let's say if you start with these set of players, you say, okay, no knee-jerk reaction, we'll see, because we need to have the, you know, some building blocks will have to remain the same. But those building blocks that you earlier mentioned, These guys, you never know what personal ambitions or how things change, let's say over a 2-year period. Many of them will be towards their late 30s or would have crossed the 35 mark. Now, after the World Test, okay, you say 35 for 2025, alright, we'll go ahead with this set. But then if you just stick with this set and not give opportunities to the others because you want to seal another World Test Championship final, what happens then? If all of these 4 exit together, or let's say in a span of about 12 to 18 months, then you wouldn't have given anyone else the opportunity over the next 2 years, and that's another problem then.
True.
Exactly. And I don't know, maybe if not, maybe I hope Rohit Sharma will travel to West Indies for that test series. I hope he stays fit also. Otherwise, I think maybe that could be his last test series if he hasn't played it already.
Because captain.
No, not as captain, as a player also, because
Because of his age.
age, I don't know about age, because everybody around is,
Or performance.
No, not performance. I think he can, but the problem with Rohit Sharma that he may face now is that because see, so Test cricket, if he gives up Test cricket, and he won't announce it, by the way, he won't announce it. Why do you need to announce anything? So if he gives up Test cricket, T20 he's already out. So then he is left with just one format, that is ODI. In 4 months' time, you will play the ODI World Cup. Then next year you have a T20 World Cup. Okay, so obviously you will have very limited number of ODIs also thereafter. After the so then what is he playing? He's not playing Test cricket. He's not playing T20s. ODIs are very limited. And then you're left with just IPL and
The occasional ODI series.
the occasional ODIs.
Because again, we've seen how every year, depending on what World Cup it is,
Yeah, you
the
have those
emphasis will change. And the thing is that despite the fact that they've increased the number of T20 World Cups, it's a biennial thing now.
Yeah, every
World
year
Cups.
you have a World
Now
Cup.
you have every year you have an ICC event.
And what are your options for the captain?
Exactly.
What are your captaincy options? I won't be surprised if you see Ajinkya Rahane as a temporary captain in near future.
But I mean, look at the irony. You went from Virat Kohli, who was supposed to be captain till he retired, to a short-term option in Rohit, to now an even shorter term option, because you don't have.
If that happens, I'm saying I'll not be surprised.
Because you don't have any other option.
Exactly, it'll be too
Who's the
soon
leadership
to
option?
usher Rishabh Pant in.
Rishabh Pant, forget about.
Exactly, you can't even talk about Rishabh Pant for another 12 months easy. But again, you look at match winners, you look at players with character, you look at players who have that kind of experience. How many
You
of those-
have just one player, Ravindra Jadeja, who is playing all formats.
Yeah.
That's it. Besides, now Shubman Gill, but I think he is still very young. Mohammad Siraj also, but he's a
Shami as well. But again, these are not players who've had.
Shami also, by the way, Shami also, you never know. If he has to prolong his career, maybe he will also give up
Red ball cricket.
one of the 3 formats. So
Yeah.
So, anyways, I think we have spoken a lot. We can take a few questions. Who is your new chief selector? Who can drop Virat and Rohit? What are you doing? Meet Soni is saying Rohit Sharma and Virat, but why do you need to drop both of them? So that's what I'm saying. You drop both of them.
And who do you bring in?
It's a collective effort. If you've lost, obviously the blame will go to some of the senior pros, but then it's a collective effort when you lose a tournament or a series. So that's one thing. And as far as new chief selector, how do you know that we don't have a chief selector? How do you know that we have? By the way, have you anywhere been told by the board that officially Chetan Sharma has stepped down? We have never received a release or a press statement from the board that Chetan Sharma has stepped down. But then we know. So
We, by the way, don't even have a vice captain right now.
that's what I'm saying now. Who's your captain? Shubman Gill is way too young. If you
Yeah, it'll be-
if you
And what's
make
the
him
guarantee that he's a captain?
No, I'm saying if you make him the captain today, It will not.
Bad luck.
Yeah, it will not be
Set
good
the
for
right
him.
benchmark also, I feel.
No, I think he will captain the
Yeah,
Indian
sooner
team
or
in times to
later,
come,
but this-
but not today.
Not right now.
If he is,
He is way too young to take all
Exactly.
responsibilities performance-wise
exactly,
and take.
let him enjoy his cricket.
Yeah.
Let him make his mark. He is a very, very, very bright prospect.
Indeed.
I think you should let him enjoy his cricket. Let him get his runs, and then when the time is right, go ahead and make him the captain. Acha, Mehak Dhanju.
For a long time. From Australia, Mehak Dhanju.
Ajab, he's saying because Rohit Sharma, even Rahul Dravid also pointed that out, that the timing of
Turnaround time was less.
yeah.
Yeah, both of them said that. I think the coach said that ideally would have looked at 20-25 days of preparation. And I think Rohit also said
25
So
to
he's
30.
saying, please, Mehak Dhanju is saying, please ask Rohit Sharma if because of the IPL, the Indian team didn't win the Test Championship, then by that sense, we should be winning all T20 World Cups. By the 2021 World Cup what happened just after the IPL, huh?
yes, in the very same territory.
Same and in the turnover
Then
time of
also,
around 2 weeks, if I'm not wrong.
And but who stopped these players from they could have Rohit Sharma from Mumbai Indians, then Rahane, Jadeja from Chennai, from Shami from
Gill.
Gujarat, and Gill, 5. So I'm saying, what if you would have said no, we want to leave early. The playoffs, we are ready to skip the playoffs. We have to go there and prepare.
Would they have been allowed?
Why not? If but that's what I'm saying. The franchisees, of course, they won't be happy.
About it.
Yeah.
No franchise, because they're spending,
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
splurging so much of money on these players, and if they are not available for these crunch matches, at the business end, but then you have to set your priorities right. What is more important, an IPL playoff spot or a title, or a World Test Championship a title? If you made it to the playoffs, the chances of you winning an IPL title are 25%. But here, World Test Championship, you were already in final. It was a 50-50 case. So, anyways, but I think it's all over now. We have to focus on what is ahead of the Indian team, and So Mehak Dhanju is again saying Indian players have to realize people are angry not because you lost the Test Championship, but because India have been losing every ICC tournament, even T20s. At least win one ICC tournament.
Also, the way they're exiting, like at this point, they're like meek lambs just waiting to be slaughtered.
You look at the last couple of exits, a 10
More than
wicket hammering, 209 runs.
No, 2021, you didn't even make it out of the group stages simply because your two big matches you lost. You were hammered in both. New Zealand hammered you. Pakistan hammered you by 10 wickets. It's not good enough. AJ Iscon says the way forward in Test cricket is the end of square turners. Even Smith was struggling massively in this India tour. It's just too much. Average team score was 150-200. So why are we expecting our batters to be averaging 35 plus? Nothing more to add.
But fine, averages. But when the conditions are good,
Then also you aren't doing anything.
I don't know if it has something to do with the conditions or if it is. Okay, Chandresh is saying, do you think instead of Viknik, you need a different pair to bring better luck for India?
We should ask Viknik when they are.
No, I think Nikhil skipped a few World Cups. Nikhil, but still, India didn't win any of those. I think maybe you may have to change the test mace. Maybe get a Tipu Sultan sword. Right, Chandresh? Then there might be more eager anyways. Virat Kohli.
But
and Rohit
India
Sharma.
sure needs better luck.
Arey yaar.
They need better planning.
Better planning, better luck.
I just don't get it. Although we at times get a little too superstitious. I remember that this particular person, if he goes, India will lose. If I'm sitting on this chair, India will a wicket will. At the end of the day, they are the ones who have to play. They are the ones who have to practice. Indian team, it's a different culture now. On the eve of a match, they will not practice. It will only and only be an optional practice. I saw, it's a culture. It's a culture. Here, if you see the Australians, they were here well in advance for the Border Gavaskar Trophy. They had a camp near Bangalore. And I know, they got a few bowlers who could bowl with a similar action like the one Ashwin.
Yeah.
So, and a few left arm spinners here and there. They were practicing. It may not get you the desired results, but at least the intent was right. No, they wanted to get acclimatized to the hot weather, to the conditions, to the wickets. See, they lost the Delhi test here. So, what did they do? They stayed back because there was a gap of I think 10 odd days.
Yes.
So they stayed back here in Delhi and
Played some more cricket.
on that same wicket.
Yeah.
On that same wicket, which had I think worn out considerably. So they said, please do not touch this wicket. And they practiced on that same wicket. And what happened in the next game?
They won it.
They won
They
it.
won the Indore test.
Okay.
And Indore was probably the worst pitch you had in the series by some margin, which is really saying something.
So it is true that if they had landed in London, they would have had more training, they would have played more, and they would have understood the conditions better. So this gap between IPL and
no
WTC,
doubt in the fact that your preparation right now lasted not more than 8 days.
And
rather
that also-
6 in
And also, I
How
think
much were you practicing in that?
Exactly.
and then we were playing IPL. A bowler was
Exactly, if you
doing only 4 overs, and here one had to bowl for about 10, 12, whatever number
day.
of overs in a day.
Irfan Pathan rightly said that from 4 overs you're expecting these guys to do 15, 20, which is a big task.
Exactly. So that is a huge difference, and then to work up your strength for that and
Stamina.
getting used to the conditions, it is quite a lot.
Satish Bay is saying, are you covering the ashes? It will be fire.
Yes, it will be.
Absolutely, yeah.
You'll be covering,
It
of
will
course.
be fire also, and we'll be covering also. Chalo, go down. Low, yeah.
Okay, we have a super.
Top chat.
AJ is gone again.
It's pitches, Rahul. Is it?
It is the pitches. He's saying that same tour, 3 tests, no runs, 4 tests, weekend Gill went huge. It's the pitch, band square turners, route 5 for Murphy, 7 for Ajaz, 10 for.
I don't know, maybe Rahul will be able to tell this a little better. Have pitches really, Rahul, changed that much? Are we
Yes,
really
yeah.
seeing too many rank turners?
No, but it does dent your confidence if you have not been
No,
scoring.
I'm saying let's say from the early 2000s,
Yes,
let's say.
yes.
Would you say we've...
No, the quality of batting while playing against spin has also deteriorated.
Exactly.
You
I am
have
of
to
the
accept.
belief, yes.
And the primary reason is because your players, they don't play domestic cricket anymore.
Exactly.
So you don't get to face those quality spinners. And also, this throwdown thing that I don't understand. Now you have throwdown specialists, not 1, not 2.
I think there are
3, 4,
four
and
of
if you include your coaches also, support staff. Vikram Rathore, mostly is seen giving throwdowns to the players. So you don't play spin a lot. And whatever spin that you play only and only in the nets. That's it. And you get those academy bowlers and from wherever you're traveling. And now also, earlier what used to happen, Virendra Sehwag could bowl off spin, Sachin Tendulkar would also roll his arm over. You had so many. So you had so many options who could you could play against, against those spinners in the nets or here and now you don't play domestic cricket. You don't go through that grind because of that packed calendar. So it does affect, and I will have to agree that the standard or the quality of batting against spin has also deteriorated considerably. Look at these players who come directly from domestic cricket. You know, you will always see in the initial stages of their career, you will find them playing spinners better. Be it Shreyas Iyer,
Pant.
okay, you know, anybody. So
Also,
and gradually when you stop playing, yeah.
The batting standards have dropped to the point that in this World Test Championship cycle, and we're just having this conversation before the show as well, they've dropped to the point that in the top 6 sides in this World Test Championship cycle, the Indian batters average the least at 34.23 if I'm not wrong. That's how bad the batting has really been.
No, but
I saved that post too.
No, I know, you know, it also has that average, also tells you that you've played a fair bit of cricket in India also, and you prepare those rank turners. That is the reason, and it does dent your confidence. You know, this is what Misbah ul Haq said when we lost that 2021 T20 World Cup, when we didn't even make it to the semis. So at that time you played the IPL in the UAE. Misbah, I remember, you know, he at that time had said that because the Indian players didn't have too many runs under their belt in the same conditions, and when they played the T20 World Cup, they didn't have that confidence.
Exactly.
So irrespective of where you are playing, you know, runs under your belt, you will have confidence.
Exactly, it's that sense of achievement, you know, that I have achieved this much, I can go beyond.
Exactly.
Yeah, so maybe the selectors have to show
Go
a
down.
little confidence in the players too.
Kaushik, what is Kaushik saying? He says that India have players who perform in knockout. India has players who perform in knockouts in domestic competitions. Okay, like IPL, SMAT,
Vijay Hazare.
and the Vijay Hazare Trophy. He says, but they never get picked for India. Gaikwad is one name, Jaiswal is another. India has a preference for big names.
But they
That's
get
what
picked
Rahul was saying.
for the IPL, and from there they get picked for the Indian team in the shortest form. Otherwise, you tell me, what changes have you seen in Test cricket in the last few years? Have you seen any outsider who's made it? KS Bharat, you can say wicket keeping option, but what options you had? And he was traveling with the Indian team. So
For a
anyway.
good couple of years. GGK says that the biggest problem is injury and the occurrence of injuries again, and of course poor selection. He says we miss Bumrah, Pant, Iyer, Ashwin, who helped us reach the final. Almost half of the side wasn't there.
No, but I mean, see, Bumrah's performances in ICC knockout tournaments, generally speaking, has been underwhelming.
But also in this
He was there in
cycle,
the
how
2020
present was Bumrah in this WTC
Exactly,
cycle?
he was there in 2021. Didn't
Yeah,
really do much.
exactly.
Sorry. Ashwin, I'll agree.
Ashwin
Pant,
was here
Iyer-
all the time you were playing in India.
Yeah, Pant,
Agreed.
Iyer, I agree, were big misses. Iyer definitely, because I think you needed someone to battle spin. Second innings. Pant, because you needed a counter attacker. You had neither.
But do you prefer Shreyas Iyer?
Exactly, in overseas conditions, you don't
in
even do
overseas
that.
conditions?
You don't?
Your coach might answer that question. And as far as you know, it's a team sport. I agree. You know, some of these top players, if they are not in the 11, if they are injured, it does impact your performance. But let me just remind you the last T20 World Cup. Which team won the last T20 World Cup?
England.
England. There was no Jofra Archer. There was no Johnny Bairstow. There was no Mark Wood after the initial stages.
Yeah.
Okay. And there was no Reece Topley.
Exactly.
Okay.
There
who
Got injured on the eve of the World Cup.
yeah. And I'm forgetting maybe one more name. So 5 players. Out of these 5 players, if you know, at least 4 of them would have just walked into the 11.
All of them, really. Bairstow was definitely an opener. Remember, they had to bring back Alex Hales.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To actually compensate for that. Topley, if I'm not wrong, they replaced him with. They brought in Harry Brook. They actually shortened their bowling attack. But otherwise, see, they had the likes of. They could have called on a Willie.
Willie,
if they
exactly,
wanted to.
yeah.
So they do have bench strength. In fact, I would argue that other nations, the bench strength is far better.
So that's what I'm saying. You know, they won that World Cup, by the way. They won that World Cup. despite the absence
Not
of
having their best
four
11.
players who would have
Archer,
just walked into that
Bairstow.
11.
Yeah.
So, I agree, still it does impact. For India, maybe it impacts more. Anyways, I think Aditi is bombarded with phone calls and messages. I think she has to leave. Somebody is waiting
Not really.
for her.
No,
She has an appointment.
not at all, Rahul.
Anyways, one last question. Vishwas is saying playing 3-4 years on square turners deteriorates everyone's game. You overanalyze your technique too much. I think too much confidence down. End this lottery.
No,
wicket.
EOD means end of the day, those pitches are lotteries.
I say EOD.
EOD is end of day. You're saying at the end of the day, these pitches are lotteries.
My
So you.
eyesight is. I read it in.
So he says that end of the day, these are lottery pitches. So you shouldn't overanalyze. But it's just human nature that you do, and that's why your confidence takes a beating.
True. So, anyways, the questions that we have been asking is what is the way forward in Test cricket for the Indian team? Well, I think time will tell
Yeah.
whether these questions will be answered or not, and we'll wait and see what happens, because these kind of things do come up every time India does not, if they don't do well in these world events, ICC events. There is a huge hue and cry everywhere, but then what happens?
That is now.
Another ICC
ICC
event comes.
tournament will come in a few months' time.
Public memory is short. Chalo, we'll take your leave, but guys, do subscribe, like and share if you've really liked, and just as an token of appreciation, you can like this, you can share this, and also please subscribe to Sports Today, and as Shivam says, please follow us on Instagram.
Please follow us on Instagram, please.
Yes. Sports Today official, and Aditi also.
Not me. Sports Today official.
Alright guys, thank you. We'll catch you again. Bye bye.
See you.